good evening, and welcome once again to Boring History for Sleep. Tonight, I invite you to set aside the concerns of your day. Let the world grow quiet around you and allow your mind to gently drift back, far back, into the distant world of ancient Rome, a world of stone roads, marble temples, bustling markets, and quiet courtyards beneath olive trees, but also a world of harsh realities, rigid social order, and daily struggles that most of us today could scarcely imagine. As you close your eyes, imagine yourself wandering the streets of Rome, the soft echo of sandals against stone, the gentle rustle of linen garments, the distant hum of merchants calling to customers. And beneath this grand, celebrated civilization existed another world entirely, a world hidden beneath the togas and triumphs, the world of Rome's vast population of slaves. Tonight, we will journey together through 4 chapters of Roman life. First, we will explore the harsh, grinding existence of the average Roman slave. Then, we will follow the story of Spartacus, whose rebellion shook the mighty republic. Afterwards, we will gently delve into the mysteries uncovered beneath Rome's surface, and finally, we will rise to glimpse the contrasting, opulent world of the Roman elites. Now, settle in, allow your breathing to slow, and let us begin our journey into the past. Segment 1. Why you wouldn't last a day as a Roman slave. Imagine yourself slowly waking. The air around you is cool, though the heat of yesterday still lingers faintly on the stone walls. You lie on a simple mat of woven straw, its roughness familiar beneath your thin blanket. All around you, others stir. Soft coughs, quiet rustles, whispered words exchanged in the dim light of the early morning. The first hints of dawn have not yet brightened the sky. The room is crowded, narrow, shared, and without privacy. You are one of many, perhaps dozens, who sleep here, packed together, your lives interwoven not by choice, but by fate. You are a slave in ancient Rome, and today, like every day, begins before the sun itself dares rise. The scent of the place is hard to describe, faintly sour from so many bodies, but layered with the ever-present aroma of old oil lamps, the dampness of the stone floor, and the lingering traces of last night's bread baking in distant kitchens. The rhythm of your life is not your own. You rise when you are told. You eat what is provided. You serve as commanded. For some, the day begins with work inside the domus, the grand house of a wealthy Roman citizen. You may be assigned to the kitchen, where fires must be stoked and the clay ovens prepared. The firewood is damp from the evening dew, making the first sparks reluctant to catch. As the flames finally rise, the kitchens fill with thick, warm air heavy with the scent of olive oil, ground grain, and slowly roasting meats. The menu you prepare is not for you. Rich sauces of garum, a fermented fish condiment, will flavor meats you're not allowed to taste. Wines from distant provinces will be poured, but not for your lips. The bread you prepare will be light and airy for your masters, while you eat the coarse, heavier loaves made from cheaper grains. You may serve directly at the table, standing silently as your master and his guests recline upon their couches, speaking in low tones of politics, trade, and gossip. You refill their goblets, replace their plates, and anticipate their needs without being summoned. Always present, always invisible, others serve beyond the house, working in the sprawling estates known as latifundia, far from the bustling city. If you are there, you rise with the sun itself, your body already sore from yesterday's labor. The fields stretch endlessly before you, wheat, olives, or vines. You stoop, you pull, you lift, hour after hour. The sun grows hot and merciless. There is little shade. Water is rationed. The overseer watches, whip in hand, though it is often enough that his shadow alone reminds you to keep moving. And there are those whose fate is even harsher. The mines, deep within the earth, the air grows heavy and still. The rock presses in around you. The flicker of oil lamps barely holds back the suffocating dark. Pickaxes strike stone in a slow, steady rhythm. Metal dust chokes the lungs. In this world, accidents are common, and safety is a luxury that does not exist. Few survive long here. Then there are the household slaves of privilege, though even they are never free. You might serve as a tutor, instructing your master's children in Greek and Latin, or perhaps as a personal attendant, dressing your mistress in fine silks and fastening her jewelry with careful hands. You may become a steward, overseeing accounts and trade, trusted with the details of your master's wealth. But trust is not freedom. One misstep can undo everything. In the bustling markets, urban slaves carry out errands. They haggle for fish and grains. They deliver messages. They carry heavy amphorae of wine and oil through narrow, crowded streets. The markets are alive with sound, merchants shouting prices, the clatter of wheels over uneven stone, and the steady hum of Roman life pulsing forward. Your meals are brief, rough bread, a thin porridge of boiled grain, on occasion, salted fish or lentils, rarely, if ever, meat. Water, mixed with a splash of sour wine, cuts the taste of impurities. And then there is the constant presence of discipline. The law grants your master nearly complete authority over you. A forgotten task, a broken cup, a slow response, all can invite punishment. Sometimes it is a harsh word, sometimes more, but always the threat hangs in the air like a silent weight. Evenings bring no real rest. As your master dines, you serve. As he retires, you clean. The lamps must be extinguished, the fires safely banked, the floors swept for the next morning's footsteps. Only then do you return to your mat, body aching, eyelids heavy, knowing that tomorrow will begin the same way, long before the sun returns. For most, there is no hope of freedom. Manumission, the formal granting of liberty, is possible, but rare, often reserved for the highly trusted or the fortunate. A favored servant, a skilled craftsman, a nurse who has raised generations. These few may someday be freed, but the vast majority will live and die within the bounds of servitude. And yet, amid all this, life continues. The rhythm of work, the quiet moments shared among fellow slaves, the whispered hopes passed between friends at night, the small mercies of routine and habit, offering brief comfort in a life not their own. As you drift deeper into the experience, consider how different your own world feels now. The soft bed beneath you, the gentle hum of modern life, the ability to choose your day's tasks, the luxury of freedom, a privilege unknown to countless souls of Rome. Now, as we slowly leave behind the long, grinding day of the Roman slave, let us turn to one who dared to rise against his chains, a man whose name would echo through the marble halls of history, the story of Spartacus. As we drift forward, the quiet rhythm of Rome continues around us. The great city remains seemingly invincible. Its legions march across continents. Its wealth flows from distant provinces. Its laws and customs spread beneath banners of red and gold. But beneath that grandeur, beneath the order, there are cracks. And into one of those cracks steps a man whose name would outlive him, Spartacus. We do not know the full story of his early life. Historians tell us that he may have been born in Thrace, a rugged, mountainous land to the north of Greece, where fierce tribes once roamed. Thracians were known for their strength, their horsemanship, their wild independence. Perhaps Spartacus was a soldier once. Some say he served in the Roman auxiliary forces. Others that he was captured during conflict. But whatever his origin, at some point, fate turned cruel. He was taken captive, sold as a slave, stripped of freedom, bound not only by chains, but by the crushing weight of Rome's system. Yet his fate would not lead him to the kitchens or fields. Instead, Spartacus was sold into the brutal world of gladiatorial combat. Gladiators occupied a strange place in Roman society. They were both reviled and admired, feared yet celebrated. They lived on the edge of life and death, providing bloody entertainment for cheering crowds in great arenas. Spartacus was brought to a training school in Capua, south of Rome. The ludus was not a place of mercy. Each day was consumed by drills, sword work, shield maneuvers, mock battles, wooden weapons at first, then real steel. Injuries were frequent. The strong survived. The weak did not. The air inside the training yard was heavy with sweat, dust, and the sharp metallic scent of blood from countless small cuts. The sand beneath their feet grew dark, packed firm by hundreds of booted steps. The trainers barked commands with steady cruelty, their whips a constant reminder of obedience. Meals were simple, but sufficient. Gladiators were fed more generously than most slaves. Their strength was an investment for their owners. Thick barley porridge, beans, dried fruits, and fatty meats were common fare, meant to build muscle and stamina for the bloody performances ahead. But the food did not erase the truth. Gladiators were tools, spectacles for the pleasure of others, and every match carried the very real possibility of death. For many, resistance was unthinkable, escape impossible. But Spartacus quietly watched, quietly waited, and quietly planned. He was not alone. Others, too, grew restless. Men from many lands, Gauls, Germans, Thracians like himself. They whispered at night, huddled in their quarters after training, speaking carefully in low voices, always mindful of ears that might be listening. And then, at last, came the moment. In the year 73 BCE, the rebellion began. It started with a small group, perhaps as few as 70 men. They seized kitchen knives and simple tools, crude weapons, but they fought with desperation, overwhelming their guards and breaking free of the training compound. They raided nearby wagons, capturing real weapons, swords, shields, and spears, meant for the arena. Now armed, they fled into the rugged countryside, toward the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. Word spread quickly. Other slaves escaped their masters and joined them. Farmers, herdsmen, laborers, men who had long lived beneath Rome, as heel, now gathered around Spartacus and his growing band. What began as a simple escape became something much larger. Rome's leaders at first dismissed them. Surely, a band of escaped slaves, armed with stolen tools and little training, could not possibly threaten the Republic. Local militias were sent to capture them, but Spartacus proved to be a brilliant tactician. On the steep slopes of Mount Vesuvius, he used the terrain to his advantage. When Roman forces attempted to besiege the mountain, Spartacus and his men wove ropes from vines, lowered themselves unseen down the cliffs, and ambushed their attackers from behind. The Romans were defeated. More slaves joined. Their numbers swelled from dozens to hundreds to thousands. Soon, Spartacus commanded an army. For nearly 2 years, the rebellion raged. Spartacus led his growing force across southern Italy, defeating multiple Roman detachments. His ranks expanded, not only slaves, but free peasants, debtors, even some Roman citizens, disillusioned with the Senate's rule. Camps were established, supplies were gathered, the rebels captured towns, foraged food, and trained. They were not simply running, they were fighting. At their peak, Spartacus's forces may have numbered 70,000 or more. The Roman Senate could no longer ignore them. The Senate turned to one of their own, Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of Rome's richest and most ambitious men. Crassus was given command and the authority to crush the rebellion. Crassus was ruthless. He drilled his legions harshly. When some of his soldiers showed cowardice, he revived an ancient and terrifying punishment: decimation, executing one out of every 10 men as a warning to the others. Under Crassus, the Roman forces closed in. Spartacus and his army faced a choice: escape or stand and fight. Some say Spartacus hoped to flee across the sea to Sicily, but Roman naval forces blocked the way. Trapped in southern Italy, his army found itself slowly surrounded. The final battle came in 71 BCE. Near the Salaris River, Spartacus and his army faced Crassus's legions. Outnumbered, exhausted, and cut off, the rebels fought with desperate determination. Spartacus is said to have charged directly toward Crassus himself, cutting through the chaos of battle. But despite his bravery, the odds were overwhelming. The rebel army was defeated. Thousands of Spartacus's followers were killed. Thousands more were captured. Spartacus himself fell, his body never found, lost among the fallen. The Roman Senate, seeking to make an example, ordered a grim display. Along the Appian Way, the great road leading into Rome, over 6,000 captured rebels were crucified. Their bodies hung for miles, silent warnings to all who might dare rise against Rome's order. The rebellion was over, but Spartacus, the slave who had dared defy an empire, would not be forgotten. And as we drift quietly away from the clash of swords and the heavy footsteps of marching legions, let us now turn our gentle attention to another layer of Rome's story, a world not of battles or revolt, but of quiet mystery beneath the city's surface, the catacombs, and the silent secrets of Rome's ancient underworld. The noise of battle fades now, the clash of swords, the distant cries, the rumble of armies. They drift far behind us, dissolving softly into the mists of memory. We remain in Rome, but now we descend into a different Rome, a quieter Rome, a Rome beneath the surface, beneath the marble avenues, the busy markets, and the crowded temples. There lies another city, a hidden world, dark, silent, and still. The catacombs. Let us drift downward now, step by gentle step, as though we ourselves are walking into these ancient passageways. The stone staircase spirals slowly. Each step feels slightly cool beneath your feet. The air becomes heavier, carrying with it the faint scent of damp earth. mingled with the old mineral smell of carved limestone. The light grows dimmer. Only the flickering glow of a small oil lamp or torch accompanies you, its flame bending softly with each shift of air. The walls close gently around you, not confining, but protective. The weight of centuries rests above your head as you move deeper. This is a place where the living once came to honor the dead. The Roman catacombs are a network of subterranean burial tunnels, carefully carved beneath the outskirts of the ancient city. They are not one place, but many, hundreds of miles of interconnected passages, stretching quietly beneath the soil. Each corridor seems to fold endlessly into the next, like a great stone labyrinth crafted by careful hands. The walls are lined with loculi, horizontal niches cut into the stone where the dead were laid to rest. Some are small, where infants and young children were placed. Others are longer, accommodating adults. Each slot once held a simple body, wrapped in linen, sealed with clay or marble slabs. Occasionally, you pass larger spaces, small chambers known as cubicula, family burial rooms, where generations were laid side by side. The air here carries the quiet memory of thousands. Why did the Romans build these quiet, underground cities of the dead? For much of Rome's early history, the wealthy were often cremated, their ashes stored in urns. But as new faiths took root, particularly among the city's growing Christian and Jewish communities, burial traditions changed. These groups favored inhumation, the careful burial of bodies intact, awaiting a promised resurrection or eternal rest. But space above ground was scarce and expensive. Land within the city walls was limited, and cemeteries were restricted beyond them. And so, the living carved into the soft, volcanic tufa rock beneath Rome, crafting these vast networks, not of grandeur, but of devotion, practicality, and reverence. As you move quietly through these corridors, your lamp's light dances across faint paintings, their colors faded, but still visible after centuries. There are simple symbols: the fish, a sign of Christian faith; the dove, carrying an olive branch of peace; the shepherd, gently cradling his lamb; the anchor, representing hope. Sometimes, inscriptions are carved or painted beside the niches, brief words of remembrance, prayers, or the names of those who rest here. In peace, beloved daughter, awaiting the resurrection. Their words whisper softly across time. The catacombs were not only burial places, they were also quiet sanctuaries. In the early centuries, when Christianity was still outlawed and its followers persecuted, these underground chambers offered places of secret gathering, quiet worship, and shared safety. Imagine small groups gathered by lamplight, their voices low as they prayed, and shared simple meals beneath the ground, hidden from the eyes of Rome's authorities above. Here, faith endured in silence. The craftsmanship of the catacombs reflects both devotion and necessity. The tufa rock was soft enough to carve, but strong enough to hold its shape. Simple tools, chisels and hammers, were used to hollow out these corridors, their marks still visible along the walls, like quiet signatures left by unseen hands. Over the centuries, as more families sought burial, the catacombs expanded downward, creating multiple levels, some as many as 5 or 6 layers deep. Navigating the maze required care. Even today, with maps and guides, the catacombs remain a place where one could easily become lost in the still, winding halls. Occasionally, you encounter larger crypts, their ceilings gently arched, their walls decorated with more elaborate frescoes. Some depict biblical scenes: Daniel in the lion's den, Jonah swallowed by the great fish, the raising of Lazarus. These images offered comfort to those who mourned and hope to those who waited. You pass stone sarcophagi carved with gentle scenes of vines, birds, and geometric patterns. Despite the simplicity, there is beauty here. Quiet, humble beauty, reflecting the hope and tenderness of those who laid their loved ones to rest. The silence of the catacombs is not unsettling. It is peaceful, a silence that feels almost sacred, the hush of centuries resting undisturbed. Your lamp flickers softly. The stone beneath your feet remains cool. The air holds the steady dampness of time preserved. You pause, and for a moment, you feel the stillness settle gently around you like a soft blanket of memory and calm. Over time, as Christianity became accepted, and eventually the official faith of the empire, the need for secrecy faded. The catacombs remained as places of pilgrimage, reverence, and remembrance. Many of the saints, bishops, and early martyrs were laid here, their tombs visited by quiet processions of the faithful. The centuries passed, and Rome above shifted, crumbled, and rebuilt itself. But beneath, the catacombs endured, untouched, patient, hidden. Even today, these silent corridors still exist beneath modern Rome. Archaeologists, pilgrims, and curious travelers carefully walk these ancient paths, their voices hushed, their lights tracing the same carved lines made nearly 2,000 years ago. The catacombs remain not as haunted places, but as quiet reminders of devotion, of endurance, of lives lived quietly beneath the grandeur of empire. And now, as we leave behind the cool embrace of these quiet underground chambers, let us rise again, gently, to the bright world above, to a world far removed from the lives of slaves and the quiet dead, the glittering, excessive, opulent world of Rome's elite, the masters of empire. We rise now, from the cool shadows of the catacombs, upward once more, into the brilliant light of ancient Rome's most privileged world, the world of power, influence, and luxury, the world of the Roman Senate. You awaken in your private villa, not to the clang of overseers, but to the gentle light of morning slipping past fine linen curtains. The air is soft and cool, carrying a faint trace of garden blossoms from the courtyard below. Outside, the city hums faintly, distant voices, the soft creak of wagons, the cooing of doves, perched beneath the tiled eaves. You stretch comfortably beneath smooth linen sheets, woven from Egyptian flax dyed pale and clean. The polished marble floors beneath your feet feel cool as you rise. Your cubicularius, a personal slave, is already present, prepared for your morning routine. A warm basin of scented water is ready. You wash your face and hands with gentle motions, breathing in the subtle fragrance of crushed bay leaves and mint. The towels are soft, the ritual familiar. Your garments await, a tunic of fine wool, light and breathable. Over it, your toga praetexta is draped, edged in a wide band of deep purple that silently announces your senatorial rank. Draping the toga is a task requiring skill. Your attendant adjusts each fold with practiced hands. Every detail matters. Appearance is not vanity, it is status. You enter the spacious atrium of your villa. The marble beneath your feet gleams softly in the morning light, freshly polished by silent household staff. A fountain bubbles quietly at the center of the space. Painted frescoes adorn the walls, gentle scenes of myth, gardens, and distant landscapes. You take your breakfast beneath a shaded portico. Fresh bread, softened with honey, goat cheese, figs, and plump dates, arranged carefully on ceramic platters. A small cup of watered wine completes the meal. The day begins gently but purposefully. Soon, your clientes begin to arrive for the morning salutatio, the formal greeting that binds Rome. This intricate web of patronage, they wait patiently in your atrium, standing in quiet order. Some are merchants, others freedmen, some minor officials, all dependent on your favor for their prosperity. You listen to their requests, some seeking legal assistance, others petitioning for financial support, employment, or introductions to more powerful allies. In return, they pledge loyalty and public support. This is the silent contract that underpins much of Rome's social fabric. After receiving your clients, your litter is prepared. Carried by strong slaves, the covered litter shields you from the dust and noise of the streets as you make your way toward the forum. The city outside buzzes with energy, merchants calling out their wares, the clatter of hooves on stone, soldiers marching, children playing beneath the watchful eyes of their parents. You move smoothly through this sea of motion, wrapped in the cool privacy of your litter, hearing only faint glimpses of the world beyond. Arriving at the forum, you step down before Rome's grand political stage. Massive columns rise above you, their marble faces gleaming beneath the Roman sun. Temples, basilicas, and arches frame the city's bustling heart. The forum is alive, not chaotic, but organized, its energy flowing with the rhythm of state. The Senate gathers in the Curia Julia, a stately chamber of marble and timber. Inside, the cool air carries the quiet murmur of assembled voices. You take your place among your peers, seated on the curved wooden benches that ring the chamber. Today's debates begin. Voices rise and fall in careful discussion. Proposals are introduced, military campaigns, new laws, grain distributions, the appointment of provincial governors. Each senator speaks with measured precision. Words are chosen carefully. Rhetoric and persuasion are quiet weapons in these halls. Alliances shift gently beneath the surface. Rivalries are managed behind calm expressions. In this world, patience often carries more power than passion. When the session concludes, you leave the Curia and step back into the bright afternoon. Your slaves guide you to your villa for the midday meal, the prandium. It is a simple pause. Boiled eggs, lentils, cold meats, perhaps a few salted fish. Afterward, you retreat to your private garden, the peristyle, where trimmed hedges, statues, and bubbling fountains offer quiet serenity. You recline beneath a shaded portico as warm breezes move gently through the columns. The scent of rosemary and lemon drifts through the air. Birds sing softly from hidden perches. For a time, you rest, the hum of Rome fading behind the rustling leaves. Later in the afternoon, you may visit the baths, the thermae. The complex is vast. Pools of varying temperatures, steam rooms, exercise courts, and quiet reading rooms. The stone is warm beneath your feet, the air heavy with the aroma of oils and herbs. Here, business continues quietly. Whispered conversations in the corners of the caldarium, subtle negotiations beneath the marble arches. Even in leisure, politics weaves its threads. As evening arrives, preparations begin for the grand scena. Guests are welcomed into your triclinium, The formal dining room. 3 couches surround a low, polished table. Oil lamps flicker softly, casting warm light on the polished bronze and silver. The meal unfolds slowly as servants present course after course. There are honey-glazed dormice, roasted fish with herbs, exotic fruits from distant provinces, and fine wines poured into delicate glass cups. Musicians play gently in the background, the soft strumming of a lyre, the gentle melody of a flute. Conversations drift from philosophy to poetry, from law to distant rumors of the empire's frontiers. The night moves unhurriedly as laughter and quiet reflection intermingle. At last, as the lamps burn low, your guests depart into the soft Roman night. Servants clear the tables, their movements silent and practiced. You retire once more to your private chamber. The city's gentle sounds float through open windows, the distant rhythm of sandals on stone, the cooing of doves beneath the eaves, the soft rustle of wind in the cypress trees. You lie beneath cool linens, your breathing steady, your mind drifts gently, and another day within Rome's halls of power fades quietly into the night. Thus ends our journey through ancient Rome, from the burdens of the slave to the bold defiance of Spartacus, through the silent catacombs, and now to the heights of privilege, each life woven beneath the same Roman sun. And as you two settle into rest, may the quiet rhythm of history carry you softly into sleep. Good night.